I am live. How are we all this evening? Just set everything to record and then hopefully you guys can see me. I can see that we're now on Facebook, so that's awesome. So just need to double check that we are also on YouTube, which hopefully we are. And we'll just double check that. And then I think I shall just, hopefully everything is set up. Here we go. Yay. Excellent. And Julie's with us. Good evening, Julie. How are you? And yeah, it looks like we're up and running, which is awesome. It's always touch and go whether we're going to be live. So I'm just double checking, see if I can get my screen so I can see what you guys see in real time, because it's always a little bit, there's always a little bit of a lag, isn't there? Hello, Laura. Julie says she's not too bad, thanks. How are you? I'm all right, Julie. I'm okay. I will admit to being very, very tired this evening. I'm not quite sure why. Well, other than the fact that, you know, as always, we're running around super busy. But no, I don't feel like it's any more than usual, but feeling pretty tired today. So hopefully this goes without a hitch. Hello to Jessica. Hello to Siobhan. And Laura Ann's with us. Oh, hello everyone. Oh, I'm so pleased you guys can join me. I'm excited for my project tonight, and it is going to be well, famous last words, clean and simple. But you know me, clean and simple don't always go together. But I've got this idea, and I want to use the set here with the Cafe Critters. I love this set so much. Hello, Claire, Jess, and Hannah. We've got a crafty trio in the house tonight. That's cool. Thank you for joining me, ladies. I don't know why, but my iPad's not wanting to play ball, so I'm just gonna refresh it. But it looks like you guys can all see me fine. It's just my iPad's being a bit slow, which it does have a tendency to do because it's quite old. Feels a little bit like me this evening, I think. Hello, Josh. How are you? So what is everybody up to this evening? Are you all crafting along? I know that Claire and Jess are usually crafting along with me. Sometimes Julie's crafting along. So it'd be good to know if you guys are crafting with me. So the Cafe Critters are super cute, and there's loads of different little stamps in here. But I want to focus on just maybe one of the little characters and some of the accompaniments that go with it, rather than doing the whole scene, which I am tempted to do as always. But because I'm hoping to make this quite quick and easy, then obviously minimising the amount of colouring that we do tonight is going to help with that. So and I do think that this is going to look super, super cute. So yeah, so this is my plan. So I've already got a few other bits out as accompaniments. I've got some of our Yorkshire tea coloured cardstock. I've got some stamping card. I've got this die, which is the Snow Flurry, but I'm going to use it as if it's like the coffee. So it's because I'm going to have a coffee theme. So this is like kind of the steam coming off your coffee is my thoughts. And this is why I love this die, because it can be anything that you want it to be. It can be snow, it can be wind, it can be just a pretty pattern. It could be waves, it could be sky and clouds. It could be all kinds of different things. And today it's going to be the steam in my coffee. Julie says, miss your Tuesday live, was busy organising my time for tea stamps, not crafting at the moment, but may do if you get inspired. Oh, I hope I can inspire you, Julie. Lauren says she's trying hard to stay awake. Last day of isolation for me, and I still tested positive this morning. Oh no, everyone else has got out before their full 10 days are up due to testing negative. Oh goodness, you are having a tough time of it, aren't you? Oh, well, you need to stay rested and need to stay in bed, Laura. That's my clinically qualified advice. But I feel like if you feel that tired, you should definitely be in your bed. And watching crafts. If you can't craft yourself, then I feel like you should be watching crafting. Right, excellent. I think I've managed to get this up and running, which is fabulous. My other iPad is working much better, and I can see what's going on now. Excellent. So the other things that I was hoping to use today are some stencils. Now, I'm going to be teasing you with these stencils because we don't actually have them in stock at the moment, but they are on order and they're due very, very soon. So it's the coffee ones, and I'm not sure if I'm going to go with the coffee stains or the coffee bean. I think I'm going to go with the coffee stains at the moment, but that could change. So this is my little filing system in my binder here. I love this system, and I'm going to utilize it for some other items in my craft room as well. So as you know, I have started doing memory keeping, and we have some memory keeping products, and I'm going to start storing these in my binders because I've got so many things. I find it so difficult to find things that I want to use. But having them in a binder like this, I think is going to help me so much more. So the next thing that I wanted to pull out, and this is my binder with all my smaller dies in. So my sentiment dies. I'm going to select my coffee die because that's a really cool one to use. And let's that to one side. So I've pretty much got all of my elements that I need, and I'm going to make myself a card base out of this this Yorkshire tea coloured cardstock because this is going to go with our theme. So I'm going to grab my scoreboard here. Hi Tracy, how are you? I hope you're all doing well. Anyway, I know obviously Laura's not feeling too well herself, but I hope everybody else is feeling okay. So this is my now which way up do I want to? I think I'm going to do a top folding card. So this is where I want to cut, but this is where I want my line to be, isn't it? So I'm going to use, this is a pre-cut piece of A6 card. Yeah, A6. Got my sizes then for a minute. Oops. I just need to open this up to a little bit larger. So this is great. This is We Are Memory Keepers cutting and scoreboard, and it opens up to the 12 by 12 size, which is really, really handy. So I'm just going to make sure that this is going to work. It should do. So I'm just going to score along there. I mean, an A4 piece of cardstock should, technically speaking, fold exactly in half to create an A6 piece of cardstock. But this seems to be fractionally shorter than that, but that's okay. Let's just burnish that fold so it lays nice and flat. And it could be that my cardstock is actually slightly longer than it should be. And then I'm going to pop this the other way around, and this then becomes a trimmer. But I'm going to use my, I prefer to use my Tim Holtz tonic trimmer for cutting cardstock. Especially when it's quite weighty cardstock, like the one that we've got here. Lindsay says, I've been off work all week with an ear, throat and chest infection. Antibiotics finally start to make you feel a little bit better. Oh no! Holy peeps. It is awful when you feel that rubbish as well, that you just can't do anything. All you can do is just sit in bed and feel sorry for yourself. It is awful. Right, so chopping that down where there's a little bit. It's a little bit too long on one end. I'm just going to trim that bit off. We've now got 2 card bases, which is awesome. So I'll be able to use this for another project. Let's just pop that there. Oh, I didn't do that very well, did I? Oh, I made a rubbish job of that, in fact. There we go, that's better. That was my fault, not the trimmer, because the trimmer is excellent. And it does sharpen itself as well. Let's turn on our big old machine. So this is actually stamping card. So I'm not going to use that because I want to use that to stamp my image. But I do need some cardstock for my. So excuse me while I just disappear over here because I'm going to find some. See if I've got any offcuts of white cardstock that we can use, because I do keep it all, as you know, but it's whether I've got a piece that's big enough for our project, and it looks like I might have here. These are not necessarily good pieces of cardstock though, that's the thing, so I'm trying to feel for something that feels nice and smooth. And obviously there are different colours in here. I don't know if you can see that is more of a yellowy colour than this one. This one is not too bad. That actually almost, no, that doesn't feel smooth enough to be, but it is the right size. I may have to use some of my stamping card because I don't think I've got any that's of good enough quality in here. Again, I'm not sure. That doesn't feel very smooth. So because I keep scraps of all kinds of cards, sometimes they are just the cheaper cardstock and not our super smooth. So I want to make sure I'm using a good quality of cardstock. So let me just delve down here into my stash of larger, so my A4 pieces. I don't really want to use a really thick piece, so we go for, that's better, that's a bit thinner. So we've got 2 weights of cardstock. I think one of them's 300 and one of them's 250. I think, can't quite remember, but I don't need all of this because I'm just going to trim out my swirls. So again, I'll just bring out my trimmer again and let's trim this down, and then we can figure out what we're going to do. So I'm just going to trim this in half just to make it a little bit easier to play with. And I'll pop that in with my good cardstock because we know it's good card. And then I'm going to cut out my little my steamy bits, and I'm going to cut it from this end, so I'm not using you know, I'm not going right in the center and wasting cardstock, and that's because I know I'm going to trim this down, because this panel is exactly the same size as an A6 piece of cardstock, and because we're using an A6 card base, I want to see some of that frame around the outside, so I know I'm going to cut this down. So let's pop this through. Sorry about the noise, guys. So is anybody celebrating St. Patrick's Day today? I know it's something that we've never really done. We've not ever really done anything for St. Patrick's Day. We don't have any Irish roots that I'm aware of. My surname, you probably guessed, has got Welsh heritage, but I don't really know of anybody in our family that's actually from Wales. Possibly somewhere back in the family history there might be. So we've not really got any Irish connections, but I know some people still celebrate St. Patrick's Day even though they don't. It's a bit of probably an excuse to go for a little bit of a booze up, isn't it? So now I'm thinking that this, and it's going to be quite difficult for you to see. I'll bring it a bit closer. You can see those little dots in the cardstock there that are going to represent our steam. So that's very cool. But like I say, I'm going to cut this down so that we've got a frame around the outside. So let me think, how much of a frame do I want? I like this to be quite a nice big border. So that feels like that might be too large. What about this? That feels like a nice size, or the one below. Yeah, I like that one. So the only thing that I just want to double check is the size of my coffee sentiment, and that's going to fit really nicely in the center there. It's going to fit beautifully, in fact. So I'm going to take this to my swirls. Now here I've got two swirls, but I quite like this shape, so I'm going to cut it here. So I've got this swirl coming out of the top of my coffee sentiment. That's kind of what I'm picturing in my head. We shall see. See what it comes out like. I'll pop this through. So bear with me for the little noisy interlude. If we've got anybody from Time for Tea who's got admin access and would like to do a little bit of moderating of some of our comments on Facebook, that would be awesome. Lindsay, if you've got access, that would be very, very good. I think you can you probably guess which comments I mean. And Siobhan says, I'm all Irish, but I think you need to be an island to celebrate. Yes. That's it. But people don't bother about that, do they, Siobhan? They don't mind if they're not in Ireland. Lucy, hello. Are you saying hello to me? Alison says, I was going to say I think it's a booze up excuse. Can't report Lou. I'm not sure. What are you trying to say to me there, Lucy Ann? I think, is it code? Right, so we've cut out our centre panel, which is cool. Let me just move my bits out of the way there. And so this is kind of what that's going to look like now on our card base. So the colour scheme I'm really liking because it is, obviously we're going for this coffee theme. And I'm going to use the sentiment of coffee the right way around. Would be helpful. And then we're going to use one of our little... Lucy Ann says, yeah, not here for a wife. Oh, right, okay. Do the best you can, guys. Do the best you can. we'll just ignore. So I'm thinking then of maybe having my little bunny here, just resting on top of my little coffee sentiment, with his I think maybe with his little coffee cup here. I think would be rather cute. And then we could also have the let's catch up as maybe a sub sentiment underneath. I think that would be quite cute. Yeah, I think that's going to look really cute. So so that's kind of the plan. I don't know if I'm going to use the outline for my die here, but yeah, I'm definitely going to use these guys. I was tempted to use the lamppost as well, because I do love this lamppost, but I don't know whether it's just going to look a little bit odd there. I don't know, but I love the lamp. I think it's really cool. So, but we'll think of something. Oh, I've had to come out to get back in. Says, I think that's Lindsay, and I can't see the comments before you come back in. Oh, never mind. We'll figure it out. Don't worry. Oh, Jane's there. I was watching her on YouTube, but just jumped on here, but can't see anything prior to me logging onto this. Oh, it's because it's a live thing, so don't worry. We'll deal with it afterwards. It's not a problem. There's just some strange folk around, I think. So right. So let's get some stamping done, shall we? And let's stamp out our images, and we'll not worry about strange folk looking for wives on our live. Okay, let's pop that on here, and I'm going to use my memento to stamp these guys. Let me move this over here so that you can see a little bit. And then I'm going to just make sure that this is lined up into the corner of my stamping platform, so that if I need to do it again, then I can position it in the same place. Lucy Ann's done it as spam. Thank you very much, Lucy Ann. You're a superstar. It's definitely spam. I'm sorry if any of you guys were interested. maybe somebody might have been interested. People are funny, aren't they? Now I don't know if I've stamped that very well now, because I was messing about. So I'm going to stamp that again. Let's turn this upside down and try that again. It looks okay. It doesn't look too bad, but I feel like I've got a bit of a double line going on. So I'd obviously not lined that up very well. Oh dear. You've got to laugh, haven't you? You've got to laugh. Okay, let's try this again. So what's everyone been up to anyway? Have you guys had some nice weather today? Because we've actually, it's still been cold. That's much better. I'm much happier with that. But it's been sunny, which has given me so much joy, because I am fed up of grey miserableness and rain and miserableness. So to have a little bit of sunshine, even though it's a bit cold, is just wonderful in my view. So have you guys had the same where you are? Have you had some nice sunshine? I hope so. Oh, let me put that back there. Oh, I don't know what I've done there. Come on now, that's it. There we go. So I'm going to zoom you in, because this little guy is quite small. Let's see if we can zoom you in. Come on, zoom, 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 zoom. There we go. That might be as far as we can zoom. There we go. Oh, you've blocked him, so so can't do anything. Well done, guys. To be fair, we are all good wife material. Exactly, Jane. I second that. Tracy says yes, lovely and sunny. Great walk in the countryside with the dogs. Oh, how lovely. Laura says that her comments are different this week. I can't find how to reply. I can only like, not the other reactions. Oh, how weird. Alison says that it's been sunny with her too and raises her mood so much. Lucianne says it was dark and dingy yesterday, but not too bad today. Jane's taken the afternoon off work for some retail therapy. Fabulous. Retail therapy of what kind? That's what I want to know. Is it being crafty retail therapy, or is it being another kind of retail therapy? Julie's had glorious sunshine and had college twice this week, so a bit tired. That's a lot of brain activity, Julie. And Lauren says, not so sunny today, but I've had some nice spring days to look longingly out at. Oh, bless you. Right, let's colour our little bunny rabbit. And our bunny rabbit, I'm going to colour in... what colour shall we do? Shall we do the E40s? Shall I go for a brown bunny or for a grey bunny so he stands out a little bit from the rest? I think I might go with that, actually. Let's do some warm greys. I've not used the warm greys for a while. Let's see what these look like. So I want to keep him quite pale, I think. I'm trying to keep on with my ambition of more pastels, less bolds, which, you know, I don't know why I'm considering that, because I do really love those colours. So, but I think it's just about challenging myself to do something a bit different and out of my comfort zone, because that is my fallback position is always to go bold. So I'm not always very good at controlling myself, and I've already gone in quite bold, I feel, here. There's not been a lot of holding myself back here with this little bunny, but I am going to refrain, I think, from going too much darker than this. So this is quite quick and easy to colour. It's a cute little image, and I'm just going to add a little bit of colour to the tail. And so there's not a lot of hard work required here if you don't want it. And I'm just adding a little bit of the darker grey to the underside of everything, or where it's in shadow, like the little the ears and the back of his head, and then I can just blend that out a little bit, but it's not going to change the colour of him or her. I don't know if you guys are the same, but there are some characters, some animals that are always boys. In, like, I don't know, I always refer to them as he's rather than she's. And I think bunnies I always think of as being boys. I don't know why. But there is no reason behind it other than it's just one of those things. Some bit of pink for the cheeks. I'm going to use the warm grey one on the bottom of that tail because it didn't feel like it got enough colour. But that's looking good to me so far. Lucy Ann says that she's done some retail therapy on Tuesday. There's a bargain shop with 50% off everything, so I've spent a small fortune. Storage mainly for your time for tea items. Oh, I would love that. I'm an absolute sucker for storage. Jane says clothes for me and the girls mainly, but also a cheeky little Kate Spade bag. Nice, very fancy. And a scarf for your mother-in-law for Mother's Day. Ah, very nice. I've still got to buy my mum a present. I might go with the pink. I'm going to go with the pink. I'm just distracted there for a moment because I was thinking, what colour am I going to do with my coffee mug? But I think I'm going to go with pink. And the reason I'm going to go with pink is because, for one, it's a lovely colour. Let's be right about it. But I think that the kind of coffee colours, the greys, and so on, go so well with pink. So I think that's what we're going to do. So I'm not even showing you the colours that I'm using here, have I? Because I'm just randomly choosing them. So let's have a look at this. Ooh, tea rose. So this is the R12, the light tea rose. And I'm just going to use that along one side there. The R01 is kind of my mid colour. And then the R00 is the palest colour. So again, that's keeping it really nice and pastel and chilled. Cute. So, I'm just catching up on all your comments. Loads of comments tonight. I love this. So Alison says, had a mini crafty splurge a couple of days ago and a new pair of Doc Martin boots. You're an addict with the Doc Martens. I've never owned a pair of Doc Martens. I don't think I'm cool enough to wear Doc Martens. Laura says it's because of Peter Rabbit or Benjamin Bunny. It could be, you know, just maybe subconsciously that's what I'm thinking. That's where that's what I think of. Yeah, that's a really good point. Jane says she loves storage and organisation. I do. It is just, I find it as much fun organising my craft supplies as I do actually crafting sometimes. So Luciana's got a question. When you get overwhelmed by all the stamps and dies, how do you know where to start? I get all flustered as I want to use them all but haven't the time or the energy or the mojo. It's funny you should say that, Luciane, because I was thinking exactly the same tonight, and I was thinking, because I've got so much stuff, sometimes when I come to do the lives I think I don't know where to start because I want to do everything, and obviously I've only got a limited amount of time. So what I said to myself was I'm going to pick 3 items that I really want to use, and I'm going to just use those 3 items. So I knew I wanted to use the cafe critters and the coffee sentiment. So then on the back of that, the snow flurry die came. Obviously I've used other things as well to complement that, but they were my 3. So once I'd decided on those, the rest, all of the other kind of stamps and dies go out of my mind, and I'm just concentrating on those 3 for now. And then that will help inspire me in terms of maybe what other stencils I want to use, what paper I want to use, that kind of thing. So I'm not then bringing everything out of my craft room to work with. I hope that helps. I think that might be Lindsay or Jane saying that she thinks of the Snappy Crocs as boys, but the Blooming Bunnies as girls. Interesting. So you think bunnies are girls. But maybe that's because of the flower theme. They're a bit more girly. Lucy says she managed to get those fridge storage with handles for £2.50. I'm seeing them for silly prices. May not need them all for crafting, but need some organisation in your life. It's always good to have organisation. We've got some of those bins in our kitchen to organise all our kitchen cupboards, so that we've got some that have got kind of all our packets in, and some that have got all our little treats in, and that kind of thing. Just helps keep us a little bit more organised. Yeah, Luciane, make a list with ideas and start at the top. That's another good idea, is to list it out. Jane says she tends to look for one stamp set that she wants to use and come up with a card idea. Then you kind of know what else you need to go with it. Oh, so it's kind of similar to what I do, Jane. That's really interesting that we kind of got a similar similar starting point. I think for me, the stamp sets do tend to be the where I start from, because if I'm inspired to use a particular stamp set, that really helps as a starting point. So, but I know another thing that might be a good idea to do, just to try something a little bit different, and I know this is something that Leslie at Heavy Doodle does. She does. She sometimes does something called stamp roulette. So she numbers all of her items. So maybe her stencils, dies, and then stamps, and then she'll pick a number from each one of those things, and she has to craft with each one of those things. So they might be totally random and don't really go together, but she's like sets herself a challenge of making them work. And I think sometimes oh, I would quite like to try that to see if I could come up with something and see if it just really kicks off some I don't know, some extra creativity that you might not have come up with otherwise. So that might be something to try to do. I think that'd be really cool. Yes, we need to know where you get these fridge bins from, Lucianne. I've stamped out loads, but then I come to colour, it smudges. Oh no. Wonder why that is. Lucy, stamp a set and just colour, then move to another set. And then when you get inspiration, you'll have some sets ready to go. That's another good idea, because I know Julie does that, don't you, Julie? You have all of your stuff stamped and cut out and ready to rock, which is cool. So there, he's got his little cup, which is cute. And I might stick his little cup to his paw right now while I'm thinking about it, because that's what's going to happen to it. So while we're doing this up close, before I zoom back out, just going to pop a little bit of glue onto his paw. I'm going to pop the little cup right there. I'm going to move him there to one side. So let's zoom back out. Pound stretcher or bargain buys or home bargains maybe. I know I do remember that Claire Manning, who we did we're doing a collaboration with very soon, she got some from B&M, I think, that were very cheap as well. There we go. Is that too close? I think that's okay, isn't it? So we've got our little tiny little guy here, and we've now got our background, but I want to do something with our coffee sentiment. And this is where I was thinking maybe we do this out of a bit of, we do some speak with your words. Oh, would it cut out of that? Oh, that one might be interesting. So this is the offcut of our background, which has got some of that piercing in there. I'm wondering whether that my sentiment might look quite cool. And I'm going to just snip this down, and I'm going to do some ink blending on here, because I want to bring in that pink that I mentioned. So I'm thinking this is going to be a good way to bring in a bit of colour to our background, because at the moment it's going to be quite neutral, and I'm also going to do a bit of ink blending onto this as well, so that stands out. So I'm going to pick up my bunny, I'm going to pop him in there so we don't lose him. Julie's currently stamping out all of her stamp sets and creating a book with them, so she knows what sentiments you have across the board, along with images and extra bits. So like an encyclopedia of time for tea. What a cool idea. That is so good. What a great idea. You've given me another. I'm just thinking about that now and thinking I want to do that. So Lindsay set up an alphabet challenge once, where you have to make something that corresponds to that letter, a daily theme challenge or a bingo challenge where you pick a line. I can add the details on the friends page if you like. That would be so cool. Yeah, so we've tried monthly challenges before, Lucianne, and I'm going to tell you that I have always wanted to do a monthly challenge, but they've never really taken off, and I don't really know why, and it makes me sad. It makes me quite sad because I love a challenge, because I do think that they help inspire you to do something different. So, you know, I think we should do a challenge, but I know Jane Taylor, who was on the design team previously, she tried so hard, God love her, to get people bought into a challenge, but they just weren't up for it. I'm using oxides today, Lucianne. Well, I use the oxides most days. They are my favourite to use. So I'm going to try it on this bit of cardstock just to see what it looks like. We may not go with it. We may go with plain. It may take too much away from our sentiment, but I want to try it because why not? It's this bit of cardstock was going to go in the bin, wasn't it? Really. So to just do a little bit of testing with it, what's the harm? It's a bit of ink, it's a bit of my time, a bit of your time watching me do it. But I think sometimes you have to experiment with these things, don't you, just to see what you think. Because if you like the effect and you like the look of it, then you might end up doing it again. And this is, you know, where you're saying about, you know, struggling for mojo and inspiration. Sometimes just the act of just doing something, whatever that might be, can kick off some inspiration and get you, you know, one, like the card that we did on Tuesday. I don't know if any of you guys caught the live on Tuesday. I haven't had a chance to do an edited version of that one for those of you that couldn't watch the full live. But I did used one stencil, created two backgrounds, and then I cut, using my layering dies, I cut a piece out of the centre of one of those backgrounds because I didn't want to use all of it. I wanted a frame similar to how we've done here. But the little strip that was left, the little bit of the offcut, I was then able to use as a frame on the second card that I used, and it just really set that off. And I would never have thought of doing that on its own had I not come to do the whole project together, if that makes sense. So it was, so that was, I thought that was really cool. So I want to do some splattering here. So I'm going to move my little bunny because I don't want him to get splattered. So I'm going to move him up there, and I'm going to splatter. I might splatter with a little bit of tea dye. I don't know whether I like the colour of tea dye splattered, or whether I might want something, oh, maybe some, is the ground espresso going to be a bit dark though? That's quite dark, isn't it? But definitely coffee coloured. Let's have a little look. I don't want it to be too in your face. We've got walnut stain and gathered twigs. No, the tea dye is definitely more of the colour that I was thinking of. So Laura Ann says, oh no, I need to go back a bit further. Hello Annalisa, how are you? Lovely and sunny where you are. I can't keep up with all the comments today. This is awesome. Lucianne, need a week to think, a week to plan, a week to prepare, and a week to make. Could we do a challenge every 3 months? So like spring, summer, autumn and winter. I like the challenge, but often a month isn't long enough. That's a really good point actually, Laura, because that could be what's putting people off, that they can't do it every month. So Lindsay, I think, is going to add the details on. I did these during the first lockdown between myself and Crafty Friends, and it really helped us to focus. Lucianne says, I need to find a decent card as I use Copics and the card I use the ink smudges. Have a look on the Time to Tea website. We do have some of our alcohol friendly cardstock for you to use. Julie says, hoping to catch up with Tuesdays over the weekend and the boys are at their dad's, and hoping to do lots of crafting as well and watch the Six Nations. It could also be the ink, yeah, but if you've got Memento stays on, I wouldn't use with your alcohol markers, but Memento definitely should be okay if you're using the right cardstock. But it might be worth, if you are having struggles with that, is to either blast it with your heat gun once you've stamped, or leave it overnight to fully dry and then do your colouring. It may just be that it's not fully dried because of the type of cardstock you're using. So if it's so super slick, super smooth, it may not have time to dry. Right, what am I looking for? I'm looking for some water. So we're going to do some splattering, aren't we? I'm going to move that to one side. I'm going to move away all the things that I don't want to get covered in splatter. So I'm going to try some of this tea dye first. And I've got my trusty acrylic block here that I like to use. And I'm just going to rub this. So this is distress ink rather than oxide, because I don't have the tea dye in oxide. So I really should look for that, I think. Now, I've got a fan brush here, which sometimes gives me a better splatter, but we'll see. Because I don't want it to be too much. Quite like that, quite digging that. It's not too dark. You know what would be nice, actually? No, I'm going to stick with the brown. I was thinking of maybe going gold, but I'm going to stick with the browns. Let's try some of the ground espresso, which is a little bit darker. Just one or two, nothing too crazy, because obviously we've got a small sentiment here, so it's not all going to show. Now I'm going to leave that to one side. I'm not going to wipe it clean in case I do want a little bit more, and then I'm going to carefully lift this up, and we're going to let that dry a little bit. So I just pop that to one side, and then give this a little bit of a clean, because we're now going to move on to our background piece. Lucy-Ann says she's so eager, but then her daughter spots the stamped out images and then colours them in. And Annalisa bought a fan brush recently for better splatter, but was a little bit disappointed. A toothbrush would definitely work, but you don't get a lot of flexibility with a toothbrush, so you can sometimes end up with a lot of fine splatter. Suddenly everyone seems to be using fan brushes and I feel left out, says Laura. Well, it's only because I bought a pack with a fan brush in, and I thought, well, I'm going to give that a little try, and it did work quite well. So yeah, but it does, I mean, I think sometimes, depending on what it is you're splattering, it doesn't always work. Splatters are very unpredictable, but that's what's so beautiful about them, I think, in the end. So I've now got my coffee stains here. Now, I think I'm going to use this smaller one, just as a little bit of extra kind of something on my background here, and I'm probably just going to do maybe the one just here, and I'm going to use my tea dye as my my colour of choice, and I'm just going to carefully pop this onto my background. So I don't want to get this bit in, I don't think, although that might look quite nice. So I'm not going too dark on there, but that definitely looks like somebody's left a stain on your background there, doesn't it? So I'm going to add another little bit down here for a bit of extra interest. And then maybe just one at the top here. So I don't want it to be too symmetrical. Yeah, that looks good. I like that. So just clean off my brush. Yes, a floppier brush works good. A silicone pastry brush is great for splattering. Well, I've never thought of that, but I might give that a try. Yeah, a floppy one. I know what you mean. Yeah, it would have to be floppy, wouldn't it, to get the amount of splatter. That's what I think. Sometimes a toothbrush might be a little bit too rigid. So let's do some more splattering. Seeing as we're talking about splattering, this is where it'll all go a bit wrong. No, that's quite. See, I'm not getting very large splatters, you see. So if you want larger splatters, you might be better using a larger brush, perhaps. Lindsay's tried to pinch her daughter's fan brush from her makeup set, but she wasn't having any of it. I'm not surprised. Now that, you see, I don't know, I think it's just maybe the action that you use, how aggressive you are, that's given me much bigger splatters, which I quite like. So I'm gonna live with that for the moment. I'm not going to tempt fate and ruin that. But now we can, if I hold it a bit closer, you can see you know, those lines in there, which are really cool, and then we've got all of that extra detail with our stencil. So let's give our stencil a bit of a clean before I get that ink all over everything. And then give my, so that, I think that might be it for ink blending. We may need to ink blend another piece if we don't like our sentiment, but I'm hopeful. Hope springs eternal, as they say. Lucian says, I reckon you should try random items. This week's random item surprises. What you mean, like random items for splattering? Just to see what we can come up with that makes a different pattern. That might be quite a good idea. Sorry if my face came a bit too close to the camera there. You don't want to see that at the moment. Right, so what's next then? So things are drying. Where did I put my little, oh, I thought I'd lost my little, see, now that's dried now, so that's pretty cool. So I did recently buy this, some sparkle glaze, dries glittering and glossy, from Fawn, and I've never used it and I have no idea really how to use it, but I feel like that could be quite interesting to use on something. So I just wondered whether we could add some sparkle to this with it, but it's more of a glaze than a spray, so maybe not. Right, I'm going to cut this out now and then we can decide whether we like it, can't we? So let's get my little die cutting machine. And put this in here. Oh, look at that. That is so cute. I love it. So this is not quite dry, so I'm not going to put it right on there. So that's our little sentiment, which looks so beautiful. I love that. Now, I'm not certain if I want to back that up onto something so that it stands out a little bit more. So I could cut that out of some vellum, or out of some of this coloured cardstock, perhaps. Interesting. But I do want to cut this out of some more white cardstock because I want it to have a bit of dimension, and one layer is just not going to cut it for me. So I'm going to use some of this scrap cardstock that we were looking at earlier, that we know is not going to be good enough for doing any ink blending or stamping on, but it's going to be ideal for this kind of thing where we just want a layer of cardstock. So let me get my little pokey tool, get some of these little bits poked out, and then I can pop this on here, put that there, and then we'll just cut around it. I think this is not terribly thick cardstock, so I may cut out a couple more layers of this. Tracy says she's not used the oxide colour yet, so we used the new colour, the saltwater taffy, on there, along with some tattered rose. I think that makes a really nice combination. Double it up, but in the tea stain colour, offset it. Oh, I see what you're saying. So rather than an outline, just offset it with the tea stain. That could work, couldn't it? I feel like I want to sneeze. I'm sorry. Oh, no, it's gone. It's gone away. Scared it away. So I know what you're saying. So to offset it with the tea stain colour, like so, that could work, couldn't it? So yeah, I'm going to cut another piece out of the white, but then we'll cut a piece out of the tea colour, and I'll see if I've got a little scrap of that that we can use. So let's chop this out. Loving these colours together, yay! Yeah, I do like this kind of corally pink with the brown, the tea kind of tea colour, coffee colour. So we've got a couple of layers there in white, and then let me see if I can find a little scrap of the tea stain. Julie says she's going to have to go because the boys won't go to sleep. Little monkeys. It's because Ant's not here to tell everybody to go to bed, is he? To tell all the little teaspoons to go to bed. Right, I don't know if I have got a scrap of this, but I'm going to have a wee look. I know I've got it in craft. I've got the craft. Doesn't look, it's not looking promising. It's all craft colour. Oh no, I don't want to cut a whole piece, but I will, because that's what it's there for, isn't it? So let me just double check I don't have it. Oh, hang on, that was my craft selection. This is my browns. So I bet I've got a piece here. Look at this. We've got a piece here. Look. Oh, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Excellent. Let's use this. Let's use a little bit of this. Great idea. Oh, was it Laura? Bye, Julie. Good night. Have a good evening. I hope the boys behave. Right. Okay. So, have started doing our in-person classes, and we've got one coming up the day before Mother's Day. However, obviously a lot of you don't live close enough to be able to do such classes. So how would you feel about me doing the class as a online version? So the same class that we're doing in person, but doing it online. Now, what I won't be able to provide are necessarily all of the bits that you would get in an in-person class. So for the in-person class, obviously you get to borrow the equipment. So you borrow the stamps if you don't already have them. Any die cut pieces, I will prepare those for you. Again, if you don't have them, then they're provided, but you don't get to take those bits home. But you could purchase them while you're there. So with an online class, it would work slightly differently. So either you would have to have the items that we're using in the class, so you could purchase those, or you could adapt the class to things that you do have in your stash. So I could suggest other items that you might have that you could craft with. So what do you think? Do you think that would work? That could be an option. Because I'm thinking that I may put that together quite quickly, actually, because I already have the class prepared and organised. So to make it an online version wouldn't take too much effort, I don't think. So, right, let's have a look and see how this is coming together. So we've got our background here, and then this is our little offset coffee sentiment. So that's working there. Looks quite cool, doesn't it? Lucy says, will you list what we need though? Oh yes, yeah, absolutely. I'll tell you everything that I use in the class so that you can gather it before the class. Or, like I said, you can use something as an alternate if you wanted to. Because the basis of the class and the techniques you could probably adapt to a number of different sets, not just the one that I've used during the class. So where's my little guy? Let's have a look. So he's going to sit there. Oh, that's cute. And then underneath, we're going to stamp Let's Catch Up. So I think I'm going to stamp that directly onto my background. So I want it about there from what I can see. I'll have it a little bit off center actually, so I'll have it just there. So remove these items, and I'm going to use my stamping platform to stamp this because it's going onto a background that's got the piercings in it, which is going to be a little bit tough to stamp onto now. So let's pop this in the corner here. So I may want to stamp it a couple of times. So just make sure it's straight. I don't think it is very straight, so let me just, using the grid lines here, I'm just straightening that up. And then I'm going to use some VersaFine Onyx Black to stamp this. And use my little tool to try and stop me from pressing too hard. But it needs to be hard enough that it... I think that's actually done really, really well. I'm going to risk it for a biscuit doing it again and hope that it's not moved, because that would be a disaster. Beautiful. So what you could do, so that's I'm really happy with that. Where there is a little gap where it's overlapped one of those stitch lines, You could use one of your little fine liner pens, but I think that I'm quite happy with how that's turned out as it is. So I'm not going to mess with it, because sometimes the more you mess with something, the more likely you are to mess it up, in my view. Well, that's my experience of me. I'm just going to have a little drink. It gets so warm in here. Now, my little coffee, I don't think that this is standing out very much. As in, I think some of the edges might need a little bit more oomph. A bit of oomph. So I'm going to grab one of my little stackable brushes, some of this saltwater taffy, and I'm just going to go across the top of this sentiment, just to give it a little bit more oomph. And that's why I love these little brushes, because they do really help with the oomph. You know, just to direct your colour a little bit. So that's just added a little bit of something extra. Nothing major, and you didn't need to do it, but I just think it does really help. There we go. So Lucian says that's the other ink that you use for stamping. So don't use VersaFine for stamping, because for using with your alcohol markers, Lucy, because that will run. That's the one that you would use with your watercolours mostly. I just use that for my sentiments, really, because it's such a good bold colour, but the Memento is better for that. Also, you could use, this is, I'm holding it this way when, I don't know why I'm doing it like that. I think I was trying to show it you to the camera there instead of just showing it you here. So this is Lawn Fawn Jet Black ink, and it's alcohol marker friendly. I think it's a bit of a hybrid, so you could also use that. That's something else that I've got. But I always turn to my Memento because it's what I know. So let's build our little sentiment here. This, just going to dab some of this liquid glue onto here. I don't know if any of you are, or your children are on TikTok. We have made the very tentative effort to go onto TikTok. We've got a couple of reels on there, or yeah, videos. I don't know what the right terminology is. It's yeah, we're getting used to it. But if you would like to follow us on TikTok, please do. If you're on there at all, we are Time for Tea Designs, obviously, on there. But also, Ant is on there for work, which is, I'm finding really, really funny. He is doing some stuff for South Yorkshire Fire and Rescue, and they've got some really quite funny videos on there to, I suppose, raise the profile of the fire service, which is pretty cool. So I'm going to do the same thing with this background piece as I've done with the pink piece. I'm going to add a little bit of just the tea dye around the edges. Now this is going to serve two purposes. It's going to cover up some of that white, because we've used white cardstock rather than using all of our brown cardstock. So I'm going to use that just to colour those edges in so they don't look quite as white. But it's also going to give us a little bit of an edge as well to the, just get those little bristles right in there. Yeah, it's going to give us a little bit of a darker outline is kind of I suppose what I'm thinking, just so that it pops that little bit more against that that pink, because that's what we want. So that's looking good as well. I like that. Siobhan says, oh, I'm very new to TikTok. Oh, we are very new. Lindsay says she's on TikTok but never posted. Well, you don't need to have posted. You can just follow us and see if we ever post, because I have no idea what I'm doing. Yes, my niece is on there and she posts constantly. So yeah, it's definitely for a young generation, but it's also very cool in terms of there's some quite good effects you can get on there, and it's just another place to watch people doing cool creative things, isn't it, I suppose. So wasn't quite sure whether I wanted my my shadow to be up or down, but I've gone with down and to the left. Had to think about that. So that's our little sentiment. Let me bring that a little bit closer. The lighting's not very good up close, but you'll be able to see it when I pop it on the card front. So we've now got our cards coming together really, really, really well. You see, when I pop it against the white, that really stands out really well. So let's pop this together. I'm going to use some of my wide foam roll to adhere this focal panel to our base. Laura says this is looking fab. I'll catch up on the rest tomorrow. And Lindsay watches some random videos on TikTok. Oh, I have actually lost, a little bit of time in my life going down a bit of a rabbit hole on there. It's one of those kind of things where you can suddenly realise that you've been on there for far too long and watching just nonsense, just absolute nonsense. Some of it. so do beware. It's definitely a time stealer, but it's fun. It is fun. It's one of those things that I think when it first came out, I was like, oh God, I'll never be on TikTok. I'll never get into that. But then, you just end up going with the flow and the fashions, don't you? I remember my dad back in the day saying he would never be on Facebook. Oh, it's garbage. It's just nonsense. And why would you be on Facebook? Now my mum can't get him off it. He's the worst one for it, because I was like, oh, you should be on Facebook, Dad, you'd love it. There's so much on there. You can share stuff, you can probably recontact old school friends and things. It really, I felt that he would get a load from it. Anyway, I was right, he did. But now my mum has been abandoned to the Facebook world. Sorry about my arm in the way. I want to pop this nice big acrylic block on there to help that adhere. Lucianne says, when will you be getting the thin foam rolls? Oh, is it showing that we've sold out? Because we do have lots of them. I'm going to have a quick look for you now, Lucy, while this is just drying. Let me bear with me, lovely, because we should have plenty of those in stock for you. Excuse me while I just have a little look at this. Yeah, we should definitely have lots of these for you to see. Here we go. Yeah, it's showing that we do have them in stock. So they're the large foam rolls. So yeah, so do have a little look. And yeah, you should see them. hopefully. I'll be able to drop a link in afterwards. I wonder if I can do it now. I don't think I can on here. Sorry, guys. But if any of the team are watching and they've got access to it, if you could add a link, that would be awesome. Let me just pop. If you can find them. If you're struggling to find them, let me know and I will investigate as soon as you come off the live. So then we've got our little, how cute. So I'm going to use some of the thin foam roll that you mentioned there to pop this little guy up. I've got a tiny little piece here that I can use for one of his ears. So I never throw anything away. Thank you, Lindsay, you're amazing. Lucy has managed to get some, but I know I'm going to use loads, so I'll put them in my basket with my next order. And it's only been the past week that you've looked. Oh, so maybe I've added to the numbers since you last looked. And the wide foam roll is also in stock, which is awesome also. So I'm just adding some little bits on here just to pop this guy up. Thanks, Annalisa. I think Lindsay has found it for us, haven't you? Yeah, she beat you to it. She's on the ball this evening. Right, so let's pop this little dude up. I am so excited for this card. This is really cute. Oh, got a little bit stuck to me. And then he can just pop up in that little space in the word coffee, which works so well, I think. Hang your head in shame. No, fastest finger first. That's it. So jelly roll pen. Let me just make sure that that's fully operational, and then just a few little dots on the cheek, highlights to the head and the ears, and a few little dashes here and there, just where it's not going to be quite so obvious. And then I do still really enjoy adding a few highlights to my sentiment. So again, they're not going to be so obvious against the paler pink. And actually, I'm wondering whether my so this is a Uniball pen, and sometimes it is just a little bit bolder than my jelly roll for working on top of distress inks. So I'm just going to add a little bit. So I just think that just looks really quite cool. And then I'll do the same on my coffee mug as well. And for the nose, I'm going to add a bit of glossy accents just to the nose. Yay. And then I wonder if it would be nice. I'm tempted to just try this because I've never used it, so I'm going to have a little go with it. Ooh, okay, that wasn't quite what I expected actually. So I've just created a little dot of this. I don't know if you can see that quite so well. Now, I don't know if it's going to dry clear or not, but I was wondering about maybe adding a few little sparkly drops as embellishments. Maybe we do one there. That might look quite cute. So we've got 3 sparkly drops. Is 3 enough? Do we want a few more? I'm just weighing up whether I want to do more than that. We'll keep it at the 3. I think I'm going to keep it at 3. Less is more. We were saying clean and simple, weren't we? And I'm just going to take this. This is going to go slightly off camera. I'm going to do a little bit of a slam onto my work surface, which is blowing everything away. But the idea of doing this is to help those little dots drop a little bit so they're not so spiky. So one of them is still a little bit spiky, but I think that works. I'm quite happy with that. What do we think? Cute. Annalisa says you could add the lawn fawn glaze to the cup, or glossy accents over the coffee sentiment. That could be a good idea, couldn't it? Loving this, loving the colour combo. Annalisa says, I need to try simple cards. I always feel like I'm cheating if my cards don't take me hours and hours. I'm exactly the same. You know, I am terrible for that. Right now, Annalisa is trying to do wonky letters and you just can't. Your perfectionist logical brain just can't do it. But on other cards, you love them. I know it's really hard to do. But it actually looks really fun. And I think it's intentional wonkiness. That's what your perfectionist logical brain needs to think. It's intentional, and that will help you with the wonkiness, I think. So I think I'm going to leave this because, again, less is sometimes more, and it is tempting to keep going and going and going and potentially ruining what is quite a nice effect already. So I am going to leave it at that. Maybe I'll change my mind in the morning when I come back and look at it again and take some photos. But right now, I'm feeling that that's looking pretty good. So I'm going to say, put everything away, move away from the card. I hope you guys like it as well. I really, really think it's turned out well, and I really enjoyed making it. And I enjoyed chatting with you guys because it's been really chatty this evening, which is really lovely. So thank you so much for joining me. I hope it's been a little bit inspirational for some of you who've been looking for things. Tracy says, so cute. Alisa says, I think it's lovely. Step away from the card. That's it. Sometimes you just have to say enough. Have a fabulous evening, everyone. Thank you again for joining me. I honestly, when I started, I thought, oh, I'm absolutely exhausted. Am I going to be able to get my crafty juices going? But you've really helped me do that. And producing this card when I wasn't sure what I was going to do has really cheered me up. So thank you so much for coming on this little crafty journey with me. Lucianne says, looks awesome. Always come away and go back later. That's it. Have a review the situation when you've slept on it. Have a wonderful evening. I will be back again on Tuesday with a bit of news, some exciting news that I hope you will all be up for. And I hope to have some more news about the online classes as well over the next few days. So keep your eye out on all our social media. If you've not already signed up for the newsletter, make sure you sign up for the newsletter. And I'll keep you posted on that as well. So thanks so much, guys. Have a fabulous rest of your evening, and I'll see you all again really soon. Bye. Bye.